Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the 2023 Annual Reporting Form webinar for the Fair Chance Ordinance and the Healthcare Security Ordinance. We want to thank you all for joining us. We still have a lot of people coming in, so we're going to give them another minute. Okay, so folks, we got to get started. We want to welcome you, and we want to welcome you, and we would invite you to take our poll. It's only going to be available for 5 minutes, and you can access the poll by clicking on the three dots on the lower right-hand side of your WebEx app. I'm going to open the poll right now, so please take a look and see. All right, the poll is open. So please go ahead and start. So let's get into some housekeeping items, materials and recording. The slide deck and a recording of this webinar will be posted on our website, and you can access everything tomorrow, and you'll have this available to watch again if you so desire. Chat boxes. If you haven't already done so, you can open up your chat box, and this is where we're going to make the public announcements. We'll post and paste some helpful URLs. You can also chat or message with the host or people like myself. But if I am presenting, there's going to be a delay in my response. So how do you ask questions and get some answers? We have a questions and answers box feature that's available to you in WebEx. Go down to those three little dots on the right-hand corner, and you can open up your questions and answers box and put in a question. Staff will provide answers to your question via the questions and answers box during the presentation. And if by chance you don't get an answer, we will get back to you within 48 hours or less. We will get back to you at the email address you used to register for this conference. But if indeed you have a different email address that you'd like to share with us with your question, you can always add that in there. So use the questions and answers box. We also have a live question and answer sessions scheduled today, two actually. First at the end of the Fair Chance Ordinance presentation, and then again at the end of the HCSO presentation. Today, I'm one of your presenters. My name is Beverly Popek. I will be presenting for the Fair Chance Ordinance. My colleague Maura Prendeville will be presenting for the Healthcare Security Ordinance. For questions and answers, staffing the box, we have Gabrielle Moses and Jade San Diego. In the chat box, we have Angela Chu, and that's our staff for today for the Office of Labor Standards Enforcement. An overview of the presentation. I'm going to give you an introduction about the report, some best tips, practices, what to expect, how to get ready, and then we'll dive into specific information about the Fair Chance Ordinance report. We'll stop there and do a live question and answer session for the Fair Chance Ordinance section. And then after that session, we are going to start back up again with information about the Healthcare Security Ordinance report. And at the conclusion, we will finish up with a live question and answer session for the Healthcare Security Ordinance. So just a reminder before we get started, we do have 1 minute and 30 seconds remaining for our poll. You can access the poll by clicking on the three dots at the far right side at the very bottom of your WebEx app. And it's a very short app, poll. So getting into some specifics and intros about the annual reporting form, also known as the ARF. When is the submission due? Covered employers are required to submit the annual reporting form by May 3rd, 2024. If you don't submit the report by that deadline, you may be subject to a penalty of $500 per quarter. So how can you access this form? You can access the form tomorrow. Tomorrow is March 26, 2024. So tomorrow is the day you're going to be able to access the form. Now, where can you find the form and resources? This is the URL to where you can find the form as well as very, very helpful resources. And this URL is going to be shared in the chat box. So don't fear, you will have this information. And as mentioned before, the PowerPoint slides, this presentation is being recorded. You will have access to the slide deck and this recording tomorrow. So the resources webpage that I was talking about and sharing with you, this is what it looks like. It has a due date May 3rd as a reminder. And right here on this right-hand side, we have this button where you can access the annual report form. Now, if you scroll down on the web page here, these are all the resources you'll have available to you. On the left-hand side, you'll have the ARF preview pages where you could print out or view slides of the actual reporting form. In the center here, there are written instructions. I would definitely open that up, print or save a copy so you can take some notes. And then on this far right-hand side, this is where the slide deck as well as the video will be posted. So that's how, and that's where you can find some resources. So moving on, what will you need to complete the form? So these are best practices and tips that I want to share with you. You should use the PDF copy of the ARF to view all the questions. Make a copy, print it out, and once you review it, gather answer to all of the questions for the FCO and HCSO sections as they are relevant to you. And we'll get into this a little bit more if it's relevant to you or not, and some things like that. Now remember, if you're actually in the ARF online, there are live links that you can click on to give you some helpful information. So if you need that, there is information within the form that you can read. One of the biggest pieces of information that you can really look and find perhaps today is you will need your 7-digit San Francisco business account number. This number can be found on your business registration certificate, but it's also known as your business license. Now, it's issued by the City and County of San Francisco's Treasurer and Tax Collector. Now, the Treasurer and Tax Collector, that department is completely different from ours. So a lot of the information you'll see about the business account number, if you have issues or questions or you need to get one, we're going to tell you to go directly to the San Francisco Treasurer and Tax Collector's office because we can't assist you with that. We're a separate department. There is a way of looking for your business account number if you just don't have a copy of the license. You could search for the business account number by looking at the San Francisco data website, and this link is on the form. So when you go into the form, and I'll show you this in a few minutes, you can easily look up your business's account number that you need to move forward to file or start the report. This is also some helpful information. If you have a business account number that's only 6 digits, just add a zero to the beginning of the number because the system requires you to input 7 digits. And if you don't have a business account number, you're going to have to visit the website of the Office of the Treasurer and Tax Collector to register your business as soon as possible. And this third bullet point, if you are submitting information for a control group of multiple entities, you will need to enter the business account number for any one of those entities. Now, if this applies to you, you're entering information for multiple entities, and you are the person um, entering this information, please make a note of which business account number you used. It's going to be super important if you need to do a correction or resubmission. And for all of this, please just take some notes and understand what you've entered into the system. Now, this next piece of information is super important too. The total number of persons employed at your company, and this includes those people outside of San Francisco. So total number of people employed at your company anywhere in the world for each quarter. And here are the specific ranges: 0 to 4, 5 to 19, 20 to 49, 50 to 99, and 100 plus employees. Now, what if you have to do a correction or just resubmit? If you make a mistake, it's okay. You just may need to resubmit on a corrected form. And this is really, really important to remember. You must use the same business registration account number so that you can replace any form that you previously submitted. So as I said, if you don't have that information and you have multiple numbers, it might be very, very difficult for you. So please plan ahead and take some careful notes. This is a frequently asked question that we get every year. Can you look up my submission or report? And the answer is no. So that's the answer there. And some other helpful information is um, just take your time to plan your answers and record the questions. Just don't go into the annual report saying, I'm just going to get this done as quick as possible, zoom, zoom, zoom. You can make mistakes, and I don't want you to have to go back and have to correct or resubmit. Something else, if you're joining us from outside of the United States, or if there is a unit, a person who's outside of the continental United States who says, I can fill out the report for the company, the form can only be completed and submitted in the continental United States. I'm not in IT. There's some technical reasons and security reasons. So please remember that the form can only be completed and submitted in the continental United States. So now with that, let's get to the introduction questions and instructions. Um, this is a great resource page that you'll have available. And remember that the slide deck and a recording of this presentation will be available tomorrow on our website. And generally speaking, what I want to show you here is that there's multiple and many ways to access the annual reporting form. You can get the information on our FCO webpage or HCSO webpage. You can even go to our Office of Labor Standards Enforcement webpage and navigate from there. Or if you have the direct URL, you can click on it on March 26th, that's tomorrow, and you'll be able to access it. So many different ways to access the ARF. And this is what the introduction page looks like. I'm actually going to go through each one of these questions, and it's super easy. And this is a very simple way to figure out if you need to complete the ARF. In other words, if you complete the first page, that page you just saw, the introduction page, at the very end, the system will actually tell you if you have to complete the form, the report. Now, some helpful information to keep in mind if you take a look at this bullet point number 2, employers who are not covered by the Healthcare Security Ordinance or FCO, you will be directed to the page in the website that you don't need to fill it out, and you could save that screen, you could print it for your records to show that you don't have to do anything. Like if you're not covered by these laws, you don't have to submit a report. You don't need to notify us. You don't have to do anything else other than, if you so desire, keep a copy of that screen that tells you you don't have to report. So this is what it looks like. This gray part down here, I cropped it out for you. Not required to file. So if this is something that I would see, I'm the type of person that I would save it and keep it in my records to show that, hey, my company doesn't have to file. Okay, so let's take a look here. There's some good information where I shared with you about that business account number. I said that you will have a link to that San Francisco data website to look up your business account number. This is the first arrow here that's pointing to it, so it's there. And this is where you would actually put in your business account number. There's some helpful information that you need to enter 7 digits, and if you don't have 7 digits, only 6, just add a zero first. Once you enter your business account number, you click on this button on the left that says validate. Once that is done, this information here, which is blank right now, it'll populate with hopefully your name. Hopefully you put down the right business account number and it's your name. And if that's your business, you'll click continue. And if it's not your business, I would definitely click cancel and look up your business account number again. This is what the data lookup looks like. When you click on that link, you're going to take a look at this second column that says business account number, and you can look it up by the ownership name, the doing business name, the street address that is registered for San Francisco. So please verify that your business account number is actually yours, and then you can use that and move forward to fill it out. Once you validate it and say, hi, yeah, that's me, this is our business, the very next screen looks like this, where it pre-fills the business account number, the DBA name, mailing address, etc. Then it also has here at the very bottom, business type. Select if you are filing on behalf of several entities in the same control group or under common control. So if that's you, select it. If you don't know, as I said here, this right, more information, that's going to be a live link button. So let's move on to the FCO questions and instructions. So some of you might not be aware or familiar with the Fair Chance Ordinance, also known as the FCO. So let's go through who's actually covered under the FCO. If you're an employer just doing business in the city and county of San Francisco, this is a citywide labor law that you need to comply with, know about. If you have 5 employees or more anywhere in the world, we use the global employee count. And if you have any employees or planned positions for San Francisco, working in San Francisco. Now, if you do have the position where the employee works or will work in San Francisco, it needs to be at least 8 hours per week in San Francisco. So most of you will fall under that. If you are a city and county of San Francisco contractor, meaning that you have a contract with the city and county of San Francisco to perform services, if you have a property contract, things like that, it doesn't matter what size you are, any size, you and any employees or plant positions in San Francisco, you're covered for any position where the employee will work at least 8 hours a week in San Francisco. If you're a nonprofit and city contractors, this is also super important and more information. If you're a nonprofit with 20 to 49 employees, or you're a city contractor with less than 20 employees, you're covered under the Fair Chance Ordinance, but you're not covered under the Healthcare Security Ordinance. And these entities, you will be directed to a shorter version of the annual reporting form, meaning you won't have to report on anything under the healthcare security ordinance. So this is what the Fair Chance Ordinance reporting form looks like. And I'm going to go through the questions and possible answers. So number one, how many employees did your company hire to work in San Francisco during 2023? And this includes telecommuters in San Francisco, meaning folks living or working in San Francisco for your company. So remember to include your part-time, temporary, seasonal employees and who work within the geographic boundaries of San Francisco. Now, this is super important, geographic boundaries of San Francisco. If you are not sure because you're not from San Francisco or the San Francisco Bay Area, where San Francisco is located and what's a geographic boundary or what the geographic boundaries are, please look up on a map, take a look and see to understand this a little bit more. Moving on to question two. During 2023, did your company's employment application for jobs in San Francisco, including online applications, ask about arrest or conviction records? So it's a yes or no answer, and just report on if your company, asked or didn't ask. Number three, in 2023, did your business conduct criminal background checks for any applicants before making a conditional offer of employment? So that's yes or no. And then a little bit more about that. There's some information about the Fair Chance Ordinance where, we have to report and you have to report this information. This is some details that you will see in the form, but you can also read through this a little bit more tomorrow when you access this slide deck. So number four, the FCO also prohibits covered employers from ever considering the following at any time. And we just want to know, did your company inquire about any of the above in 2023? So I'm going to go through this really quickly. An arrest not leading to a conviction, except for unresolved arrests, participation in a diversion or deferral of judgment program, a conviction that has been dismissed, expunged, otherwise invalidated or inoperative, a conviction in the juvenile justice system, an offense other than a felony or misdemeanor, such as an infraction, conviction that is more than 7 years old, unless the position being considered supervises minors or dependent adults. And this last bullet point, conviction for decriminalized conduct, including the non-commercial use and cultivation of cannabis. So those are the items that is prohibited. Just let us know if you inquired about any of those in 2023. And then this is what the last three questions look like in the FCO report. It's super fast. And number five is, did you hire anyone with a conviction history in 2023? Yes, no, I don't know. And then number six is your business exempt from any of the FCO's provisions, either because you are required to conduct background checks under state or federal law, or because your employees are drivers or work for children, seniors, or disabled adults, et cetera, et cetera. So if this is you, you probably know it. There is a button for more information. Um, and if you actually say yes, there's a drop down that pops up in which you can select what type of job you're hiring for and what industry. Then seven, and this is the final question in the FCO report, what is the highest number of employees your business had in any quarter of 2023? Now, you're only going to get this information if you did not have to submit the HCSO data. Count all the employees in the world outside of San Francisco, and then just select from the drop-down menu. This last slide is a summary of just where to get some more FCO information. This is a URL to the FCO webpage. And the recorded webinars for the FCO unit can be found in our resource section. This URL will take you directly to a bunch of recorded on-demand videos about FCO as well as HCSO and many other labor laws. This is our email address for the FCO unit. And at the very bottom, if you're interested in just learning more about the Office of Labor Standards Enforcement and all of the many labor laws that we have, that is a URL to the Office of Labor Standards. Now, what if you need to speak or communicate with someone about the ARF? This is information that I'm sure you're looking for and you can keep. You can call this number 415-554-7892, or you can email hcso@sfgov.org. If it's about fair chance, you can still call this number and you can also email this particular unit, which is the HCSO unit. So we've come to the end of the FCO presentation. Um, Please, if you haven't already, send us your questions in the questions and answers box. And what we'll do is Jade has been answering questions, and it looks like she has a, a few for me to answer live.
Thank you, Beverly. So one of the most common questions we're getting is, what if our company is operating outside of San Francisco but have employees teleworking in San Francisco?
So I guess the question is
If they,
if they have to file. Yes, yes. So if you're a company outside of San Francisco, headquartered elsewhere in the world, but you have people working in San Francisco, you're going to have to file. Yes.
okay, and then when can I access the ARF?
So the ARF is going to be available on Tuesday, March 26th. At the time of recording this video, today is Monday the 25th, so tomorrow.
And this is a good one. Is there a way to access the form after submitting it? So maybe if they need to make any corrections?
So no, there's no way of pulling up your form, going in there and just changing one little item. What you're going to have to do a correction is to essentially resubmit and answer everything over again. So that's why it's super important, and that's why I spent a lot of time today in this presentation to go through the introduction of what you need to do to prepare and best practices. Take a look at the PDF of the entire report. If you know you're applicable for FCO and HCSO, you can find all your answers to that. If you're not sure, what you can do, and it's the 26th of March and the ARF is open, fill out the introductory page and just see what it says. Yeah, you have to fill out stuff. Well, then you can go ahead and gather information about the FCO and the HCSO. And as you're filling out your ARF, take careful notes about your submission. One of the biggest, most important things to really note is if you have a business account number, um, what number you're using. Now, if you only have one number, that's super easy to keep track of, but if you are representing and filling out a report for, multiple entities, that could get really confusing and we wouldn't be able to help you. So please just take the extra time to prepare in advance. And as you're filling out the report, take careful notes on your responses. And you're just going to have to resubmit a new filing.
Thank you. And then regarding small businesses, and only needing to complete the FCO and not the HCSO, is that true?
Yeah, that's true. And the best thing to do is if you feel that you're a small business and you can't remember the size. I mean, we went through it, it's also on the website. The easiest thing to do is go to the ARF. fill out the introduction page, and the introduction page will tell you if you just have to file, first of all, anything. Oh, maybe you don't have to file anything, or just filing the FCO. So using that introduction page to understand what you have to file is a great tool.
Okay, and then I guess this is the last one before we get into HCSO. There's a lot more questions though. But is this only for positions in San Francisco? What if our business is located in San Francisco, but majority of our workers are teleworking elsewhere?
So the FCO, we want you to report on information of positions that you've advertised to perform work in the city and county of San Francisco, and or if you have people working in the city and county of San Francisco at least 8 hours or more per week. So that's something to remember as well.
Thank you.
Okay, so that's going to conclude our FCO questions. Just a little follow-up from our quick poll that we had earlier. I hope you were able to participate. It looks as if the first question, chocolate or vanilla, most people like chocolate more than vanilla. Is this your first time completing the ARF? It looks as if most people that are here with us today, they're saying yes, this is the first time that you're going to be completing the ARF for your company. Just don't worry, we have resources for you. And I think planning and preparation is key. And you obviously have our contact information you can follow up with if you're not sure and you need more support. But please take a look at our resources. We have tons. And then in terms of how many employees do you have, it looks like um, the majority of folks have 20 or more employees. And then where are you joining us from? Where are you in the world? Most of you are in the western side of the United States. Okay, so great. Well, I'm gonna go through again some general information, and then I'm gonna hand this off to my colleague Maura Prendeville for the HCSO presentation. Again, I think this is repetitive, but I want you to know that our materials and recording will be available on our website by tomorrow. So no worries, you're going to have all this information. If you don't know about this, we have a chat box. This is where we're going to share URLs and helpful information. You can also chat with us, and please understand that if we are presenting, we won't be able to respond to you. There'll be a little bit of a delay there. If you want to ask questions and get answers, we have a questions and answers box, a feature available. Open that up by clicking the three buttons at the lower right-hand side. And at the end of the HCSO presentation, we are going to have a live question and answer session. So please remember, if you don't get an answer by the end of this webinar today, do not fear. We will reach out to you with an answer within 48 hours at the email address you used to register for this webinar. If there's another email address that you'd like us to use, please put that into the question so that we can see that. So here we are. Let me pass this off to my colleague, Maura Prendeville. Hey, Maura. I'm sorry, Maura, can't hear you. Let's see here. Gabrielle.
Morning.
Oh, yes, there we go.
Okay.
All right, fantastic.
All right. I'm just going to recap a few things that Beverly said. If at this point, if you already know that you are a business with fewer than 20 people, or if you are a nonprofit with fewer than 50 people, you do not need to attend this second part of the session. you will probably get more confused. So if you're on for the remainder of the session, it is because you are a business with 20 or more people worldwide or a nonprofit with 50 or more people worldwide. So who is covered by the HCSO? For-profit employers with 20 or more people worldwide, nonprofits with 50 or more people worldwide. If that is you, not only are you required to complete the annual reporting form, but you are also required to make healthcare expenditures for your San Francisco employees at a specific hourly rate. If you are not already familiar with the HCSO, if this is the first time you are hearing about it, I highly recommend that you attend our next regular compliance webinar. We offer this every month. If you are here to complete the annual reporting form, this should not be the first time you've ever heard of this law. This law has been around since 2008. So if you are new to the city, if you are new to the HCSO, or if you need a refresher, this is not the webinar for you. You should sign up for this one that has a link here. Secondly, by the time you are filling out the report for 2023, you should have already complied with the HCSO. That means that you already satisfied the employer spending requirement in each quarter of last year. And you're simply reporting to the city on how you did that. So this should not be the first time you're reviewing your compliance for last year. You should have been doing it throughout the year. The best example I can give is you wouldn't be starting your tax return right now without having any idea how much money you made last year or how much was already withheld. You already know that, and you're filing a report. And you should also know how you complied. So you're using the reporting form to provide the city with an overall snapshot of your compliance. The good news is that you are not having to go through each individual San Francisco employee and telling us how you complied for those individuals. You're just giving us ranges and snapshots and categories of expenditures. And the deadline is May 3rd. Beverly's mentioned this before, but we do have lots of resources available specifically for filling out the report. And then there are resources if you need to read more about the ordinance. We have extensive information on our website. And I am going to get into some of the questions about how to count people in a moment. So before you begin, as Beverly's mentioned, you cannot save the form and return to it later. So we recommend that you have the PDF preview printed out or on your screen in front of you before you start the report, and that you already have your answers prepared in advance. If the person submitting the form is outside of the continental US, you may have some issues, so please ask us for guidance. If you have someone else at your company that is located inside the continental US, then that person should submit the form. The information you will need is, we will cover this again, the business account number for San Francisco, the number of employees who worked in San Francisco. This includes remote workers. We always get questions about this, and I see we've gotten a lot already. So if people are working remotely from their homes in San Francisco, they are covered by the HCSO. So yes, those are the people that are going to be covered employees. If you have a business where people are working from home outside of San Francisco, those people are not covered employees. So you look at where the person is physically performing work, whether it is at their home or some other location. If it's in San Francisco, those are covered employees, and that's who we're going to be asking about in the report. You also need to know what types of healthcare expenditures the company made for people last year and how much was spent on health insurance, dental or vision insurance, city option payments, and there are other ways that the employer may have satisfied the spending requirement. But again, we're looking at how much the company spent on the people in San Francisco. You'll start with the introduction page. Beverly went over these questions previously, but did you have people working in San Francisco? What is the overall company size? When it says include all workers worldwide, that's what that means. Did you have a city contract, and is the employer for profit or nonprofit? A nonprofit refers to a 501c3 organization, not just a company that didn't make profits in the prior year. We're referring to the tax status with the IRS, 501c3. And again, Beverly also reviewed this, but in order to get started, you need to have your San Francisco business account number. We do not have this. You need to look it up on this webpage that's referred to here. If you have not registered your business, there's a link to do so here. You would need to do that right now so that you can have your business account number by the time the reporting form is due. Generally, anyone that employs people in San Francisco needs to register their business. If you have people working remotely from their homes in San Francisco, you need to register your business. If you only have one person working in San Francisco, you need to register your business. All right, and that is not governed by OLSC, but that's governed by the San Francisco Treasurer and Tax Collector Office. There are very, very few entities that don't need to register, notably government organizations, but the vast 99% of nonprofits and for-profit businesses need to register with the city. This is, if you click on that link from the prior slide to look up your business account number, this is what that page will look like. You can type in the company name or the DBA and you should be able to find your business account number. You also, if you get a physical mailer from our office about the annual reporting form, then the business account number will be on that letter. All right, you will see the name and address field next. Because you've entered your business account number, the certificate and registration number will be auto-generated. You don't need to go look that information up. Mailing address, you will need to clarify and confirm. And if you are filing on behalf of several entities in the same control group, then you can do one report for all of those entities as long as you list all the business account numbers. What that means is if you are a parent company and you've got different subsidiaries and you want to file one report for all of them, you are welcome to do that. Just list the business account numbers for each entity. The HCSO also applies the control group language that's found in the Internal Revenue Code to different LLCs. So if you own, for example, multiple LLCs that employ people in San Francisco, you would want to check out our website and see if they're part of a control group and can you do one report for all of those entities. So business size, I'm going to repeat myself here several times because I can see there's a lot of questions about this. The very first question is number of workers worldwide. We want to know what your size is, and see, this is a range, so you don't need to have an exact number. You just need to know which of these 4 size categories you fit into. Number of workers worldwide means regardless of location. So you could have 4,000 employees in Helsinki, only 1 in San Francisco, but you have 100 or more worldwide. That's the box you're going to check. Regardless of the employee status. So all people, whether or not they're on your health insurance, whether or not they're union or non-union, whether or not they're part-time or full-time, whether or not they're seasonal, temporary, contracted, we want overall company or organization size here. So that's what this question is intended for. At this point in the webinar, you should only be on here if you've got 20 or more, unless you had, for example, you've got a seasonal type of business where you may have quarters where your company size drops down and then it increases in other quarters, or if you began operations in 2023, you may have some quarters where you were 0 to 19 and then you grew, or that could be one reason that you would check 0 to 19. Most of you will be over that for every quarter. So again, business size is total number of people within a range, regardless of geographic location, employment status, benefit status. If the number fluctuates, you can take an average of the quarter. Now, the next piece, once you've talked about your overall company size, you want to identify how many people are covered employees according to the Healthcare Security Ordinance. So what that means is, I'll get into that in more detail, but basically now for this second question, you're looking at San Francisco employees, not worldwide. So if you are the company that has 4,000 employees in Helsinki and 1 in San Francisco, you're writing a 1 here. You're a large company, but you only have 1 person in San Francisco. That's what you're filling in here, and all the other questions are going to be about that 1 person. So who is a covered employee? Basically, someone who's worked for at least 90 days. They work in San Francisco. Again, if somebody is working remotely from their home in San Francisco, then they're working in San Francisco. And Beverly mentioned, if you don't know the geographic boundaries of San Francisco, you can consult Google, look at a map. San Francisco is both a city and a county. It's very small. So we're looking for specifically this geographic area. And employees covered by the HCSO need to work an average of 8 hours a week during a quarter. So there are a few exemptions, but for purposes of reporting, you want to just assume that nearly all of your San Francisco employees are covered employees under the HCSO, and we are going to then ask you how much you spent on those people. So the next, once you figured out how many people you had in San Francisco, you're going to report on the dollar amount spent on those folks. So depending on the size of your San Francisco workforce, you could have, low numbers here if you've got 1 San Francisco employee, or if you've got hundreds or thousands, you're going to have very high numbers listed here. So this is a quarterly amount. And again, you're not going through each individual person. You're just saying the total amount spent on this whole group. And you can select which category you spent on. So a lot of large employers are going to have multiple categories here. You've probably got people who are on health insurance paid for by the company. You may have people that are on dental, vision. If you've got a union workforce, you may be paying into a health and welfare trust fund. There's a category for that. You may be contributing to health savings accounts for employees, especially if you have a high deductible health plan. There may be other types of reimbursement programs that you pay into. You may be paying into the San Francisco City Option MRA program. You may be doing a whole variety. That's why you don't need to break it down by how much you spent on health insurance versus how much you spent on city option, or how much you spent on health and welfare payments. You can just select, we're just looking for total dollar amount in the first row, and then all the different types of ways that you spent on their health care. And I will say that there is an option here for self-funded plans. So if you select those, there will be some further instructions. Basically, it will direct you to enter the hourly amount in the other column at the bottom, rather than including it in the total healthcare spending. The reason for that is self-funded plans can't typically break down their costs per quarter. They're allowed to do an annual amount. So you can report on those separately. If you're an employer that has both fully funded and self-funded health plans, you're going to be selecting the health insurance checkbox and the self-funded checkbox. So it's the combined quarterly total for San Francisco employees. If you're totaling insurance costs, you do not include any amounts paid by employees, only the employer share of cost. And as I said, health and welfare contributions, HSA payments, city option payments, just the total amount. And if you have self-funded health, dental, or vision plans, you will have a separate way to report those. So that's the bulk of the form. The rest of it is easier. So there's a question about whether or not you imposed a surcharge on your clients or customers. If you did, it's going to ask how much you collected and what the language was on the surcharge. Now, if you the employer will know whether or not they're charging a surcharge. So a common scenario is a restaurant that has on its menu, we charge an extra 5% surcharge that goes towards employee healthcare. That's an example of a surcharge. Other businesses do it as well. Sometimes staffing agencies or security guard companies or janitorial companies will bill their clients an extra surcharge so that they can recoup some of the costs of complying with the San Francisco healthcare ordinance. But if it doesn't sound familiar to you, if you've never heard of a surcharge, it means probably that you did not impose one, so you can hit no and move on to the next slide. And yeah, these will be this kind of clarifies the questions. But if you did impose a surcharge, all it wants to know is how much you collected and how you identified that to your customers. Then you're done with the form. You hit the certification tab and you will submit. You'll hit the submit button. Make sure that you clarify. It's really important that we have good contact information here, because if we do have subsequent questions about either the reporting or the company's general compliance, we're going to reach out to the person that submitted the form. So make sure that this is somebody who's familiar with the organization's healthcare and benefits structure. As Beverly mentioned, if you make a mistake, you cannot go back and fix it, but you can resubmit it. So we would look at the most recent submission as the final version, in case people do sometimes go back and resubmit it a number of times. Most importantly, if going through this process makes you realize that your company has been out of compliance with the ordinance, if you're realizing that you weren't catching for example, you didn't have sufficient healthcare spending for certain categories of employees, or if you realize that you have a bunch of remote workers in San Francisco that you didn't account for, please call us for advice. We do have a process for employers to voluntarily fix past noncompliance. Now, it's separate from the reporting requirement, but you should still call us and ask for advice. That is a good way to avoid being audited. If you contact us and let us know what the issue is, and we talk you through how to address it. Again, if you need to speak with somebody about the annual reporting form specifically for HCSO, or if you need to contact us for advice about general HCSO questions, this is our contact information. And now I will take any questions that Gabrielle thinks I should cover.
Okay, thank you, Mara. We do have a couple of questions that may not have been answered. What if this is the first time the business has heard about this reporting requirement and did not report in past years?
Okay, so let me just clarify that. If you did not satisfy the reporting requirement, so you've been complying with the HCSO, you've been making healthcare expenditures for your San Francisco employees, but you simply didn't go through this reporting process last year, there's no way to go back and fix that. But you're not penalized for that unless there is an audit of the company. If there is an audit of the company, what we're primarily looking for is whether or not the company satisfied the healthcare expenditure requirement. So you can't go back and report on prior years, but you should keep documentation of your compliance. So you keep record of all your healthcare expenditures, you keep records of your invoices from your health insurance company. You keep all of that so that if you are audited, you can show your compliance with the bulk of the law, which is the spending. If you mean that you did not comply with the spending requirement in prior years, then yes, please contact us and we can talk you through how to fix that. And we'll have some questions about how far back it went and how large the company is and how many people it has in San Francisco, but we can advise you about that. But again, if it's only the reporting that you haven't done, you cannot fix that, but you should still keep record of your compliance with the spending requirement from prior years.
Okay, thank you, Mara. Also, as far as the employer size, and the count. Do you count? We had a question about, do you count contractors, or who all do you count? Part-time?
Yes, good question. So for overall company size, you're counting everybody. So part-time, full-time, contracted, temps, paid interns, you count all of those for overall company size.
Okay, thank you. And another question is, if the business has several entities and only one in San Francisco, do they need to submit an annual reporting form for all the entities or just the San Francisco business?
Just the San Francisco. However, when you're reporting on company size, you would account for the company size of all the entities, but you would only need to submit a form for the San Francisco entity and report on San Francisco employee expenditures.
Okay, thank you. And I know we talked about this. This question comes up. It's been coming up about the business account number. How do you know if you need that business account number, and where do you go to get that?
Yeah, so that one we have, so let me go, maybe somebody can help me figure out which slide that was on. Here we go. So again, these are going to be posted on our website tomorrow, if not later today. So slide 58, and it's also referred to earlier in the webinar, but there's a link here to where to look up your business account number, and there's a link here to how to get a business account number. If you know that you have never registered your business in San Francisco and you do not have a number, I would recommend that you do register your registration as soon as possible, preferably today, because it can take them a while to issue the account number, and you need the account number in order to do the reporting form. So register right away if you have not already. If you have registered or if you're not sure, you click on this link here and you type in the company name. It will look, I'm going to give you this is kind of what the database looks like, but you can see here there's different companies listed and the business account number is to the left. So if you type in your company's DBA or corporate ownership name, you can see the business account number there.
Okay, thank you, Mara. I think we answered the questions that were in the Q&A, and if not, I know we'll respond in 24 hours, but those are all the questions I have now.
Okay. And yeah, I just want to reiterate, because I did see this in quite a few places, but people who are working remotely from their homes in San Francisco are covered by the HCSO. And if they're working remotely from their homes outside of San Francisco, then they are not. So if you've got a big remote workforce, you want to look at where those people are located, and that will help you give you a sense of who you need to report on.
Laura,
Yeah.
can you put up the contact information for the HCSO unit and the phone number?
Yeah.
So, folks, a lot of you privately sent chat messages to myself and Maura, and I really tried my best to answer all the questions I could when Maura was presenting. And I know Maura has a bunch of private chat messages, which are questions. So if you're still here, and I know some of you logged off, please copy and paste your question, if you still have a question, into the question and answer box. And our team will contact you with an answer within the next 48 hours. And for some of the questions that I really couldn't understand, and it might be too for others, even in the questions and answers box, you can also contact us at this phone number and email address, and you can get an answer that way. Thank you.
I just saw one other question come in that I want to address. Is the question is, when is the next webinar? There will not be another webinar about reporting for this year. This is it. However, it is going to be recorded and it will be posted on our website. So if you want to share it with colleagues, you can do that. But this is it for the live webinar for annual reporting. If you're referring to the general HCSO compliance webinar, we do offer that once a month. I believe the next one is coming up on April 9th. So let me show you the slide for that one. Yeah, so employer webinars here. So again, slide 52, this will be posted on our website, but if you're asking about the next webinar, just so you can kind of get a general sense of how to comply with the ordinance, or if you are concerned you might have been doing something wrong in the past, you want to just get a refresher, you would go to the employer webinar, but we're not doing another one for about the reporting. And I don't think I mentioned this, but during this time of year when we've got the annual reporting form out, our call volume goes up by about 1,000%. So we get hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of phone calls about the reporting form. We answer our hotline 5 days a week. We've got staff here to help, but it is much more efficient if you can at least try to troubleshoot on your own. So that's why we have these slides available. We've got written instructions available. We've got the PDF preview available, so that you can try to figure it out on your own first before you call us. And if you do call us, we're going to have a lot of questions for you relating to the company size, number of people in San Francisco, what types of healthcare expenditures you made. So if you're going to call in, it's best if you have a specific question and a sense of what you did to comply last year. That will help things go faster and more smooth.
Laura,
Yeah.
I'd also add, if you have a question, don't email us and call us. We have separate teams working on the emails and another team working on answering phone calls. So please just pick one or the other, not both. We will get back to you. And if you are calling and you get the message that, please leave a message, we will call you back. So no worries. It's just going to take a little bit of time, but we will get to you and we will assist you. Choose one, not both. It's going to be the most efficient use of our team's time to get back to you as well as others.
Yeah, thank you, Beverly. And even with the really high call volume, we can generally return calls within 24 hours. It's often a lot faster, but just depends how many calls we get. And also don't wait until the day before the deadline to start asking your questions. Do it sooner rather than later, because the closer we get to the May 3rd deadline, the more calls we get. So it's better to start looking at it now. The form will be live tomorrow, so you can take a look at the preview today and you can submit it tomorrow if you have everything ready. All right, anything else?
No, it doesn't look like anything else. We thank you all for joining us. And as we said, you're going to have access to the archive tomorrow, as well as this recording and the deck of slides and all of the resources. Once again, take care.
Thank you.
Bye.